something beyond believing that I call knowing. Now, everybody listening who has ever ridden a bicycle knows that they can ride it. When you go to do this, when you haven't done it for 15 years, you don't use your mind to say, I wonder if I can do this. I haven't been on a bike in 15 years. I don't know if I'm going to fall off. There's none of that. There's just this powerful knowing that isn't a belief. It is a knowing. And then you go out and you get on the bike and you ride around. And you can do that for some of the physical things that you can create in your life, such as swimming, for example. If you've ever learned to swim, you may not have been in a pool for 20 years, but you can dive in and you know you're not going to drown. You know it, all right? You don't believe it, you know it. Now, I had a really interesting experience just recently. I have been having a dream for the last 15 or 20 years, one of those recurring kinds of dreams. I am back in my youth, and in my youth I grew up in the Detroit area, and I was a hockey player. And so I was really good at ice skating. I loved to ice skate, and I spent many, many, many hours of my life on skates. And I can watch the Olympics, and I can watch them doing their double axels and their triple spins and their reverses, and I say to my kids, I can do that. And they go, oh, yeah, sure, you can do it. I said, yeah, I can. I can twirl around and spin, and I can skate backwards, and I can do circles, and I can do axles and jumps, and I can do it. Yeah, come on, Dad, you can't do that. I said, yeah, I really can. When was the last time you were on skates? 1958. Dad, that's 34 years. I said, yeah, but I still know how to skate. Now, in this dream, I am back on skates, and I'm in a pond. And the pond is out in the middle of the woods. And the woods are silent, except for some birds and a few squirrels, and it's like the middle of winter. And I can go out, and I'm on this lake, and it's frozen solid, like really, and I can just skate and flow with the wind and feel the coldness against me, and I'm out and I'm twirling and I'm doing this backwards things. So this dream has been a recurring dream for a long time. Now I suggest, as I tell this, that you be careful about what you dream about, because dreams are created with the same brain that you create this physical world that you think of as different than the dream world that you're in. The same brain is doing this. The same you is doing this. It's not like there's two separate brains operating there. So what you dream about, your brain is capable of perceiving and creating in the world. So I arrived in Lancaster, Massachusetts to spend a week with Dr. Chopra, Deepak Chopra, who has some wonderful tapes that were published here at Nightingale Conant. And I'm 3 times a year now, we go, my wife goes or I go, or we go together to his center for the practice of Ayurvedic medicine. And essentially what we do is we go there for a week, and in that week you go through this wonderful treatment, and you cleanse yourself, and you detoxify yourself, and you meditate a lot, and I had been on the property before. They've got 130 acres in Lancaster, Massachusetts, just an exquisite place. So I get there, and it's really, really cold. Now, I live in Florida, okay? So this kind of weather is something that I was used to when I was a little boy. But I am so exhilarated to be back at Deepak's center that the cold is just, that doesn't make any difference. No one could believe at home that I was actually going to Massachusetts in January, but I was really looking forward to being up there, and it was the only time I could arrange the schedule. So I got there, and I went for this walk in the woods, and there is about a mile into the woods, half a mile or so, is this pond that I've been dreaming about for 20 years. I mean, it's just, it's exactly, it's like a replica, and I started getting that chilled feeling all over, like, I've been here before, like that deja vu, and I closed my eyes and I realized that this is that recurring dream that I've been having, and it's now manifested here in this other bigger dream, this 100-year dream that I'm in, instead of this 8-hour dream that I go into. And there's one fellow out there, his name is Mark, and he's out there skating. And I recognized Mark, and I'd seen, because I've known him from my previous visits there, and I said, Mark, this is great. And I walked out in the middle of the pond, and it had what they call black ice. I don't know if you've ever experienced black ice. But black ice is like you look down, and all you can see is darkness. From the surface straight down, it's just black. And it's pure, and it's thick. And the ice is 16, 18 inches thick because it's been so cold for so long. And the surface of the ice is just unblemished. It was just perfect. And I was getting excited being there. So I said to Mark, Mark, I have got to have some ice skates. And he said, well, it's Saturday, and, there's no place, but I know a place in town, and next week I'll see if I can get you. I reached into my pocket, and I took out a sizable amount of money. And I said to Mark, I really need these skates today. And I said, and you can keep the change. And that evening, I had a pair of skates manifested in my room with my thought and a sizable amount of money, which helps in this larger dream. And Mark is wonderful, and he didn't really do it for the money. I don't want to leave that impression, but it was just he went out of his way and made it happen. And I had a brand new pair of ice skates, brand new. And I walked back down. It was dark by now, and I walked back down to that pond with those skates, and I had this knowing, this powerful knowing. And the knowing was that I could do everything I had done on skates, even though it had been 34 years since I'd had on a pair of skates. And I laced up those skates, and I had excitement, and the adrenaline was flowing in my body. I was all alone out there, and I went onto that ice, and I skated around there, and for that week, I skated 23 hours, right? So that was over 3 hours every single day, morning, afternoon, evening, whatever I could get a free moment, I would be out there just skating and feeling the wind. And the interesting thing about this knowing that I had, and that I challenge you as you listen to this story and you listen to these tapes, is that the body that I had in 1958 was my 1958 model. That was my 18-year-old model. If you were to do a chemical analysis of that 1958 model and do what they call radioisotope studies and analyze all of the cells and all of the molecules and all of the atoms and all of the chemistry, all of the nitrogen and the hydrogen and the oxygen and all of the physicalness of my body, including my brain and including the femurs in my leg and the bones and the muscle and the blood and every aspect, every down to the tiniest atom, my current model doesn't have anything left in it physically, including my brain cells from my 1958 model. And yet I still had this knowing. So that the knowing that I brought to that pond from that dream is real magic. The knowing is not physical, nor is it lodged any place in my physiology. Every so often, very regularly, you are constantly changing your physiology. But the awareness that allows you to be able to know is somewhere other than in your physical being. It's not in your brain, it's not in your physical memory, it's not located in your cells anyplace. Somehow that knowing is beyond that. If you can take this knowing, which is beyond a belief, and begin to apply it in all areas of your life and understand that it is a part of you and it is outside of you, it is in everything in the universe, that knowing, that pure awareness, once you get that and know about that pure awareness and recognize that you can access it, and as you access it, you can begin to use it, you will then know the experience of real magic. What we have to understand is that this physical body that we are in is a result of something that I call an organized